Hello everyone, pleased to have you on board. Channel tutorial. Here is classic tutorial and in today's tutorial, we are in our very first class on the course POL228. We are taking up with the course today, and basically for those of us who are new to the stream, you want to smash like button, subscribe to the channel, or also comment section to say hi, good evening, and so you can know what you're watching from. Basically, like mark the attendance to this concept as of straight into it. Okay. So we have a moment. Now we're taking on the course POL228. According to the thumbnail, we have the course POL228. And we are taking our bearing. Good evening, Ma. It's great to have you on board. We'll be taking our bearing tonight, according to what we have on the thumbnail, that says comparative politics. Taking our bearing from what it says by comparative, what it means by comparative politics. Okay, so just a moment. Now, when we talk about comparative politics, what are we talking about? First thing foremost, all right, you need to understand that comparative politics happens to be a subfield of political science. A subfield of political science. Please note that. On the global sense, there are varieties of political systems. Okay, the different political systems capture an enormous variety of institutions, processes, and interactions. But when we talk about comparative, okay, politics, we are simply talking about the politics that aims at an exact knowledge, okay, an exact knowledge of, are we together? Aim at an exact knowledge of the nature and means of government and means of government. This is what comparative politics is all about. Now, let's take some definitions from different scholars. Comparative politics, basically, like we've been told, is aimed at an exact, an accurate, okay, an exact and accurate knowledge of the nature and means of government. Now, according to Michel Sodaro, all right, according to Michel Sodaro, okay, that's Sodaro. Michel says that CP, which is comparative politics, is simply an examination of political realities. Okay? an examination of political realities in countries all over the world, looking at the many ways people behave in politics. Please, if you're on the stream and you are yet to mark the attendance, all right, please do well to do that now. It's important. Okay, do well to mark the attendance by smashing the like button, and also let us know where you are streaming from. Please, let's do well to do that right away. It's one way, just like what Ms. Regina has done. Okay, it's one way we get to know, all right, to acknowledge your presence. Awesome. Somebody just smash the like button. Okay, now let's continue. So according to, so you're welcome on board. Now, according to Michel Sodaro, Michel says that comparative politics is simply an examination of political reality. An examination of political realities, not the plural, political realities. Are we together? In countries all over the world, looking at the many ways ways in which people does what? Behave in politics. People behave, the many ways in which people behave in politics. Now, this definition begin to, all right, make more sense to us, speaking of the exact knowledge of the nature and means of government. Considering what Sodaro said, that how people behave when it comes to politics, an examination about it. Now, let's take a step forward. Comparative politics is characterized by an empirical approach based on the comparative method. All right? Empirical. You know, when we talk about empirical, we are simply talking about objectivity. Okay? And we're not talking about comparative, we are talking about measured or judged by estimating what? Similarities. Okay? Similarities or dissimilarities between one thing or the other. Now let's go back to it. It says characterized by what we call an empirical approach. Here, this empirical approach is based on comparative method. Now, let's underline these two keywords. Okay? Empirical approach based on comparative method. All right? An approach is the manner of accessing a thing. Then the method is a yardstick. All right? It's a standard for assessing a thing. Now, considering the fact that it is said there that this approach is only has to only be empirical. And when we say empirical, we are talking about something that has to do with research, all right, conclusion based on available results. When we say empirical, we are simply talking about something or decision made based on available results or made based on objectivity, okay, based on and concerned with verified or veritable, all right, experience rather than logic. Empirical has nothing to do with logic. It is based on objectivity, all right, based on facts, all right, factual, factual approach, empirical approach. So now when we're talking about comparative politics, that means that this is the politic of, this is the reality of politics. Politics that happen, that politics that is based on making judgment based on the available facts, all right, not on assumption or an experience you were told of. All right, it's more like first-hand politics. Okay, so now let's continue. It says here, according to Arendt, okay, according to Arendt argues that comparative politics does not have a substantial focus, but rather a methodological one. It focuses on the how, but does not specify the what of the analysis. That is according to Arendt. In other words, comparative politics is not defined by the object of its study, but rather by the method it applies on, all right, the method it applies to study political phenomena. That is Arendt's argument. Arendt is saying that, as far as it's concerned, comparative politics, okay, does not have a substantial focus in the sense that it can only tell you how to go about something, but doesn't tell you about, can only tell you how to go about getting your analysis, but it doesn't tell you what analysis you have to go get or go fetch in particular. Okay, so therefore it lays more emphasis on the method. All right, okay, first method, you take this, you apply this, but it doesn't lay emphasis on, all right, it doesn't lay much emphasis, according to what it says, on the worth, all right, it doesn't lay much emphasis on the expected results, all right. So we have Arendt's argument. So now, comparative government is also said to be the earliest adopted method of comparing political institutions. It's said to be the earliest. Of sharing political institutions. Definitely, based on the fact that it is more of facts rather than assumptions. Okay? By comparative government, we mean the method adopted, okay, by the classical scholars, the likes of Aristotle, Plato, Locke, and so on and so forth. to study the institution of government, basically using the constitutions of countries at the basis of analysis, study, okay, of the foreign governments, because of the focus of philosophers who study politics comparatively was on foreign governments. Now, what we need to understand is still on the matter, still on comparative politics. Okay, so comparative government, otherwise known as comparative politics, all right, we are simply talking about the method of adoption, okay, by classical scholars, speaking of the genesis of CP or CG, all right, we are simply talking about the method, all right, adopted by classical scholars, the likes of Aristotle, Plato, and Locke, in studying the institution of government, okay, by basically using the constitution of the country, all right, and these scholars studied government of foreign countries, not basically, all right, the government of their own country. Because when we say comparative now, there has to be comparison. There must be comparison between political institutions, okay, considering their constitutions and the way they handle or run their government among different countries. Then we have that step. Now, it says here that philosophers who studied government on comparative basis uses the descriptive approach. All right. Excuse me. Who studied philosophers who studied government on comparative basis all right, uses or use, let's say used the descriptive approach. The approach focuses on describing the structure and the institution of government. Okay, the approach focuses on describing the structure and institution. Speaking of the descriptive approach, okay, it focuses, speaking of descriptive approach, it focuses on describing the structure and institution of government. Now, let's talk about some scholars in particular. Aristotle, in his work, The Polity, okay, Aristotle, in his work named The Polity, compared different, okay, it compared different constitutions by introducing a famous typology based on two criteria: the number of rulers and the nature of the political regime. Okay? Two what? Two criteria and we have the number of rulers okay, and also the nature of the administration or regime. Nature of the political nature of the political regime. Now, POLS, it distinguished 6 different kinds of constitution, all right, based on the nature of the ruler. What is the nature of the ruler? Person. And what is the nature of his administration? How is he ruling? The personality of the ruler and how they deem ruling as fit. All right, how they deem ruling as fit. So based on this, he was able to use 6 different kinds of constitution to distinguish, all right, to further buttress his points. These 6 different kinds of constitutions he referred to as monarchy, aristocracy, polity, tyranny, oligarchy. All right, and also democracy. So he was able to use 6. Okay, he was able to use what? 6 different kinds of constitution according to their standard in their days. All right. So these 6 now. Okay, I think I should. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where it talked about monarchy. It talked about Aristo, yeah, as Aristo, talked about aristocracy, talked about polity, talked about tyranny, all right, a double N. It talked about oligarchy and democracy. So he was able to use all these as constitutions, when we talk about constitution, as the guideline to how you are expected to rule. Okay, so please and please, let's call it wrap here for today. Our time has really been affected today. A lot of discrepancies in the time, but we just have to do something. So in our next class, we're talking about thematic study of comparative politics. Okay, we're talking about thematic study. So thank you very much, everyone. I believe you're able to get something to this class. Please let's do our to keep our notes updated and send them to the appropriate quarters. I look forward to seeing all the subsequent tutorials. Bye for now.